I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies, and today I'm here to look at the Halon X from Mathews. This bow's new for 2016. It was released in 2015, but not physically produced in 2015, if that makes any sense. They released in 2015. This bow was put in the hands of a few staff shooters, Braden Galantine, Alex Wildflower, Dan McCarthy, and some of those guys did videos on this bow, and they won tournaments in 2015 on this bow. Major tournaments. I'm going to get these names wrong, but I believe Braden Galantine won the European Indoor Championships with a Halon X. That was then followed up by a win. Alex Wildflower won the Lancaster Indoor with a Halon X. Now at that stage, these bows were not available to dealers. So what Mathews had done, they'd given their top shooters this bow, and Alex and Dan McCarthy have both done videos of this bow, claiming it's the best bow that they've ever shot. Now for me, the Halon X, I'm taking so long to do this video because basically this is the first time that these bows have arrived in my shop. And when I say that, I have received Halon X's before now, but they've come in dribs and drabs, and I haven't had all three colours here to demo in a video before now. So it's been slow, there's been a big wait on them. I think Mathews right now is running about a 5-week delay in getting a Halon X out. Definitely fast now, but it's basically been a big time delay to get these bows in. Now this bow is 35 inches axle, which is extremely short for a target bow. Now when Mathews first released this bow, they didn't release it as a target bow, they released it as a hunting bow. So on the Mathews website, you'll see their hunting bows on one drop down, target bows on another drop down. This bow does not appear on the target drop down list, even though most of their target shooters are shooting this bow. So that's my first thing. I think Mathews is a little bit lost. This sounds like I'm criticizing Mathews, and I probably am. But to me, like when your staff shooters, your top competition target guys are shooting the Halon X and it's not in your competition bow line, it gets a bit confusing. I think that's where this bow is. They basically, Mathews brought out the Halon, which is this one, which is their hunting bow. And this was their flagship. It's a short 30-inch bow and it's nice. I've done a review on this bow before. That's nice. What this bow is, it's like the Chill versus the Chill X. The Chill X was a longer bow made for 3D archery, and to me that's what the Halon X was. It was made for 3D archery. So it's got smaller cams than the Halon, same sort of design as the Halon, but they're smaller. The bow's longer, so it's meant to be more forgiving. So to me, when Mathews originally came out with this bow, they thought this would be a great 3D bow. There's no question at all with that. It's a modular adjustment here, so you've got to buy modules when you want to adjust the draw length. Just 2 screws, replace the module. Modules are around, Australian dollars, $80 for a set of modules. You've got a yoke system, roller, slides here, single draw stop down the bottom, the ability to fit a really low cable guard, low stabilizer down the bottom here. Now these rubber bands are pretty standard on all Mathews bows when they released from the factory. I sent out one of these bows to a customer and he said my bow had a rubber band around the handle. It was obviously defected. They just come off. That's how they come out the factory. Don't ask me why Mathews put them in there, because some customers get confused. They have the little string increases here, basically add weight to the strings. Now the limbs themselves are quite wide, like on the Halon. The bow comes in 3 colours. It comes in a camo, which is a lost camo, which is here. That's the lost camo. They have the little things which are pretty standard on Mathews at the top there to fit in the last chance bow press. It comes in a black. So the black bow price over the camo is about $100 more. Now your dealer may not charge you $100 more because they might have received a deal from Mathews, but Mathews charged me basically $100 more for their black. This is like a black powder coat. It's kind of rough. When I say rough, it's a rough finish. It's not smooth. Limb pockets, I'll just run down because we're about to go to the anodized version, which is probably another $100 more expensive. So the black, it looks quite acceptable. And this is the black anodized. Now, if I was going to be buying a Halon X, I'd definitely be buying the anodized one. It has these nice engravings up here, that's on both sides. So the limb pockets are a little bit fancier. The finish itself is fantastic. The anodizing's first rate. So this is the same as the other Halons, it's an anodized finish. Limb pockets here have got the Mathews logo. The limbs look nice. The graphics are obviously nice on them. Overall in this bow, 330 feet per second, which is acceptable for a 3D bow. It's a very smooth shooting bow. There's very little vibration when you shoot it, and it's a very smooth draw cycle. So now its price point sells for around 1,800 Australian dollars, which puts it above bows like the PSE Supra. It puts it below bows like the Hoyt Podiums and the Hoyt Infotech. So it's a bow which is it's above, price pointed above the PSE. It's price pointed above the PSE Decree HD, which is an equivalent bow by PSE for 3D archery, which is also a 330 feet per second bow. And it's below the Hoyts. So to me, it's not badly priced. The Mathews produce a great product. I found this year they were a little bit slow with the delivery of the product, but that could be through the massive demand. Now, to me, I saw a video when this bow first came out from Alex Weifler claiming this is the best bow he's ever shot. World Championships, he's still shooting this bow. So the World Cups, he's shooting this bow. Dan McCarthy, one of their top 3D guys, is shooting this bow. He claimed it was the best bow. He had some weird things about moving the arrow rest slightly high, and he's got his video on his website you can look up. He found this bow shot slightly better if the arrow was above the arrow, plunger holes. Now I've sold a few of these bows. I just set them up standard. They shot nice. There was no vibration with them. They drew nice and they aimed nice and they shot great. Now you probably know I shoot a PSE Expression and the PSE Supra. Now the Expression's priced at $2,000. The Supra is priced at about $1,200 to $1,300. So this is between this in price. How does it compare to the Expression and the Supra? I think there's less shock with this bow. Now, so I think the draw cycle is a little bit smoother. The minus sides compared to the PSE, you've got the modules here. So when you want to change draw length, you've got to buy a new module. The modules do come in different let-offs. I think that's a downside. I think it's less shock, and also I think it's a smoother draw, which I probably already said. The weight feels about the same. It may be fractionally heavier than the Supra, but it'd be pretty similar in physical weight. The balance on this bow is near perfect. It balances up really nicely with stabilizers, and like I said, it's pretty well balanced now, so you don't need a lot of stabilizers to balance it. Overall, when I've set this bow up and I've shot it for target, I've been very, very happy with it. And I did consider buying one for myself. I didn't. Most of the reason was I'm just concentrating on shooting now. So I'm shooting lots of arrows, and I am shooting good scores with the PSE Expression. And to me, it wasn't so much about the bow, it was more about me. When I shoot 60 arrows plus a day, I basically shoot a good score, and when I drop those arrows down, I shoot a less score. If I've got asthma, I shoot a slightly less score. So for me, I didn't change just because I'm just concentrating on one bow, and now I'm shooting a lot of recurve. But to me, as far as all the bows I've shot, this is one of the best, and I'm going to do a shooting test with this bow, and also we're going to shoot this bow at 18 meters so you can see the groups of it. Now, I started this video and said I think Mathews get a little bit confused with their marketing and their pro shooters about their bows, because to me a target bow and this bow is being shot by their target archers, is a longer bow. And it's not in the target, it's not on the Mathews target screen. On the Mathews target screen, you have the Mathews TRG, which is this one, which came out last year. Now this is a nice, as far as a target bow, you can see how long it is, 40 inches axle-axle, 38 inches axle-axle. It's very heavy, it's got a long riser, parallel limbs. This bow shoots nice. Now the problem was, all the top Mathews shooters did not go to this bow when it first came out. And there were definitely Mathews shooters who did go to this bow, and there's Mathews shooters who are shooting this bow. But it wasn't across the board swap over to this bow. So it never really, when it first came out, it had a bit of momentum first off. I sold a fair few of these bows at the start. Now this bow struggles. And I think that's just perception, because the top shooters are not shooting it. So therefore, what bow would we look at? Now to continue that theme on a little bit, the top Mathews shooters, Braden Galantine, I'm going to say, he was shooting a Halon X, and he just swapped back to a Conquest 4. Now he did that for the American Championships, American Target Championships, and in his video he said he swapped back to the Conquest 4 because he knew how well he shot with this bow. This bow is largely unaltered for 15 years. It's won so many competitions, and Braden Galantine's basically been shooting this bow for years, unaltered. So he swaps back to this bow for the American Nationals and shoots a world record with it. He shoots 718 points out of 720 points at 50 metres on an 80 centimetre face with this bow. Now, the problem is with this bow, it's basically been around forever, and when people walk into my shop, this bow, I hate to say it, it doesn't look sexy, it doesn't have the parallel limbs, it doesn't have the big cams, doesn't have modules for adjustment down the bottom here. It is a nice shooting bow, there's no question about that, there's no question this bow can shoot big scores, because it's won lots and lots of prize money. Archers have won lots and lots of money with the Conquest 4. So he's suddenly gone back to the Conquest 4 from the Halon X, and he said it's just to do with his own confidence. It wasn't about his ability with the Halon X. He just felt like he had more confidence with the Conquest 4. But for me in sales, and I'm like a retail shop, and you as customers, the problem is when you're looking at a target bow, you're basically going, well, what are the top shooters shooting? What should I buy? And the problem with, and this is where I sort of started, the problem with that is when you see the top Mathews shooters, you see some of them shooting the Halon X, you see the other one shooting the Conquest 4, you see a couple of guys shooting a Target TRG. Now the argument to that would be, what Mathews would say is, all these bows shoot great and you can shoot great scores with them. Absolutely, the difference in scores between any bow is minor for me. I've got guys who come in here who've got basic bows who shoot scores very, very similar to what I shoot with a $3,000 bow. However, when a customer's coming in and they've got a whole heap of bows to choose from, it's easy if there was one bow to choose. And I think that's where Mathews almost hit it, because all their shooters suddenly switched to the Halon X at the start of the year, but it wasn't in their target lineup. It didn't come in all pretty colours. It's almost like if you had this bow in 38 inches, axle with pretty, bright reds, bright blues, and the Braden Galantines were shooting it, Alex Wafflers were shooting it, all their top shooters were shooting it, this bow would run out of my shop. It shoots nice, it's a nice bow, Mathews produce a good product, but I think it just gets a little bit lost in the sales. It could just be me in my shop, but it gets the message gets lost. Like with PSE, you can go, The #1 shooter in the world shoots Expression, Stefan Hansen. The Hoyt shooters can go, look, the top guys all shoot podiums. That's it. So if you're a Hoyt, flying the Hoyt banner, you're going to shoot a podium. If you're waving the PSE flag, it's a Supra based on price at 1,300, or it's an Expression based on 2,000. With the Mathews, it's like, which bow do I go for? This has been pretty successful for me, the Halon X. So we're going to go and try this out. I do like the anodized version of it, but to me, I just think 38 inches probably would have been more successful for them. But it was good how all their staff shooters swapped at the start of the year. Unfortunately, the bow wasn't available at the start of the year in great numbers, so it was a very slow rollout, but it is a nice bow. So we're going to now shoot this bow and compare its groups on the shooting range. So let's have a look. So we're outside now. We're going to shoot the Halon X through a chronograph. I'm shooting at 29.5. I'm shooting velocity arrows. These are shooting 90 grain points, they're velocity 400s. This is a pretty standard setup that I shoot with all the bows I test. And we're going to shoot it through the chronograph now. Now the draw cycle on it, basically I'm almost about to hit the valley there, and then it's locked in. Now I'm just going to let this one down. It's a very smooth draw cycle. It's different to the HDR and the Conquest. It doesn't have the big valley of a chill. The valley's a lot smaller. It doesn't drop off, so it's pretty much feels like the same poundage right till the end, and then it drops off very smooth into the valley. So it's a pretty nice draw cycle, as nice as any other bow ever produced. So drawing, valley there. So that was 268 feet per second. The bow is quiet, like whisper quiet. It's very smooth. There's no vibration when you shoot it. Literally as good as any other bow I've ever shot. The weight on it is it's a little bit heavier than some bows like the Carbon Air from PSE, which is obviously 3 pounds. But it's a nice bow, and what Mathews designed this for was for 3D. It was an awesome little 3D bow. Let's shoot this again. That was 269. So now we're going to shoot this at 18 meters and see how it groups. Okay, so I'm back at 18 meters. We shot outdoors. And like I said, to me, this is one of the nicest bows I've ever shot, period. The chill's really nice. I really like the Martin LTD. I think it's got a really nice draw cycle. I could argue the draw cycle on the LTD's a little bit better than this because it's got a bigger valley. But this is pretty good. Compared to the Supra, there's more shock with the Supra, and I don't think this draw cycle is as smooth. But nothing wrong with the Supra, obviously. Overall, this is a really, really nice bow to shoot. So it's 35 inches axle, so that's just one of the things. But obviously, top shooters shoot this bow, and they've shot extremely well in competition with it. So I'm just shooting with a basic 3-pin sight. I haven't sighted this bow in. It's got a basic pin sight, D-loop. That's it. Basic whisker biscuit on the bow. I'm just going to shoot some groups down towards the target, and we'll see how they group. Now I do this with all the bows I test. Some of it could be the way I shoot. Last night I shot pretty well, so we'll see how I shoot today. I really wish we'd set these sights before I started, because they shot high left. So I normally sight these bows in before I start, but going to be really hard to pull the arrows out of the target. But so on this draw cycle, so I've got a wound, this is a 60 pound bow, I've got near maximum. So I'll just try and zoom in. You can see the gap there is not large. So speed wise on this bow is 276, I think it was, which is not particularly fast, but it's pretty acceptable. It's in the kind of range where you expect it. But the draw cycle, to me, I'm drawing this back really, really easy. Easier than my expression. I don't have any pain or anything when I draw it. I mean, I have had, like, I really like this bow, which I've said probably numerous times. Then when people come in here, they get to try all the different bows. I charge $5 a time to try different bows. I have had people go, look, this bow's not for me. I don't know why that is. The grip is nice. It's a comfortable grip. It's a rubberized grip. But the ones who have liked it and they have brought them. But there's been other people go, no, I didn't like that bow. And I had one guy who preferred the Supra to this bow. It's not to say the Supra is not a good bow, because it is a good bow. He preferred the draw cycle, and I think the draw cycle is better on this bow than the Supra. So each their own. That's why it's good to try out the different bows. Now my draw length is 28.5 normally. And this is 29.5, so. It actually says 29.5, but to me it can't be, because it's too comfortable for me. I'm 28.5, so we might have changed the modules on this bow. I'll just shoot one more shot. Now from here I can see my arrows, but we're going to take the cameras up there. My grips are not fantastic, so let's just run up. So, I've just shot at 18 meters. I haven't sighted this bow in. This is my first time basically shooting this bow. But that's what I do with all my reviews. So I try and get a feel for what the bow's like to sort of shoot. Now this is my group here. So I'm basically two hands. I'm like that at 18 meters. Now I'm not getting any tight groups there, and in fact my recurve, the groups I shoot with my recurve would be better. But to me the bow feels really easy to shoot. So this group here, it could be to do with my pin, not seeing it clearly because I've got a big peep with it. But to me there's no vibration in the shot at all. There's nothing, it's quiet. The draw cycle is smooth. The wool, when I get it back, is rock solid. So when I see the Braden Gallantines and the Alex Werfelers shoot perfect 300 scores for indoor with this bow, it's not a question to me, absolutely. I didn't do that. That is not a 300 score there. And I don't have stabilizers on and all that, but the bow's perfectly balanced in my hands. And you'll see when I shot the Phenom, I think I shot a better group with that. I shot the Decree HD, the Beast, I think I shot a pretty good group with. But to me, this bow could shoot a good group. No question at all. I didn't do it. That's not a good group. but that's not going to take away from this bow. This bow has got good, it's well built, it's well engineered. The shooters are shooting big scores with this bow. To me, this is a good bow. But part of the reason I didn't swap to this bow was I'm shooting big scores with my current bow, and to me it gets down to me. I've got to shoot this bow. And so when Braden Galantine, going back to where I started this conversation, when Braden Galantine swapped from this bow to the Conquest 4, and he said, I did this because I had confidence in the Conquest 4 because I've shot so many arrows with that bow, and I'm confident that I can shoot big scores with that bow. That makes perfect sense to me. It's just a bit unfortunate for Mathews, because if he had shot a world record with a Halon X, it kind of it adds more momentum to the Halon X just being this cool bow. It is a cool bow to shoot. There's no question about it to me. Like I said, I've had probably 2 people who have said they prefer other bows to this bow in my store. And that's fine, because I give them all the top latest bows to shoot. I give them latest Hoyts, I give them latest Bears, I give them latest PSEs. They can shoot anything in my store. In fact, if I had all the other brands, if I was allowed to sell the other brands, they would be in my store. Other brands don't want their brands to be in my store, but that's another thing. They might not want the competition, I don't know. But anyway, to me, the Halon X is a super bow. If you're going to look at a 3D bow, a target bow, it's a bow I look at. The weight, it's not light. So if you need a light bow, this is not a bow I'd be looking at. The price point, it's at the higher end of the scale. So you need to be looking at the $1,700, $1,800 price point bows to be looking at this bow. But if you were looking for top of the range target bow to shoot, go down, set one up, have a shot with it and see what you think. To me, I think it shoots as good, better than the TRG from Mathews. I prefer this bow to the TRG. I prefer it to the Conquest. I prefer this bow to most bows in my shop. But saying that, I would choose an Expression for target because it is 40 inches axle, the World Champions shooting one. The Supra is cheaper at $1,200 odd. But this has clearly got to be on the top of your list. Dragonfly from Win and Win, $1,000. I've sold heaps of them. That's on price point. This bow is not on a price point. This bow is, I'm looking for the best bow money can buy. This has got to be on your list of shopping. So check it out. I really like the Halon. Mathews produce great products. It's all top class stuff. Like they have roller bearings up here in the wheels. They've been making bows for a long time. They put a lot of thought into their bows. It's a bow worth considering if you're looking at a new bow. And despite my group here, which is pretty average, I am pretty confident I can shoot a good score with it. And I'm on that point, just before I go, I've got a guy who comes in my store who shoots Hoyt. He shoots a PSE. He's just brought a TRG. He shot perfect indoor scores with all of those bows. He was shooting really, really good scores with his PSE before he sold it because he went through a divorce with his wife. Another story. But he just brought a TRG, perfect scores with that. I'm going to say the scores aren't quite as good as his PSE. But that could just be through how many arrows he's shooting per day because he was shooting a lot more arrows before. So once again, the more arrows you shoot, the better your scores. And if you watch the Dan MacArthur video, he shoots 5 hours a day, his compound bow. If you shoot 5 hours a day, you're probably going to shoot good scores. So, but overall, Halon X, awesome bow, worth considering if you've got the money and you're looking at a top of the line bow. And I like the black anodized version with the Mathews writing, even though it's probably going to cost you $200 more than the camo version. But if you're looking at $1,700 on a bow, probably $200 is not going to be much of an issue for you. So I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Check out the Halon X, awesome little bow from Mathews, and check out the rest of the Mathews range at your local archery store. Thank you. Bye.